As of the latest Drought Monitor, 77% of Nebraska remains in exceptional drought, categorized as D4 in dark red, and 96% of the state is in either extreme or exceptional drought. Nebraska by far leads the nation in D4 classification. However, there is a widespread chance of precipitation Saturday and Sunday in Nebraska, as you'll see later in Al's weather forecast. In our marketing analysis with Frayne Olson, taped Thursday morning, we started by asking how dry conditions through the center of the country hadn't completely skyrocketed wheat prices.
Yeah, and that's a question I get quite often during the meetings, farmer meetings I have as well. And part of the reason is that looking back, a lot of the market traders were looking at very similar conditions last year at this time, where winter wheat conditions were in poor shape. We were concerned about winter kill. The concern was how much of the winter wheat was actually going to make a crop and what kind of yield expectations we had. And as it turned out, we had rain showers during the summer that were about the right time. Winter wheat yields were much better than anybody really had forecasted earlier on. So the wheat market right now, even though winter wheat conditions are in worse shape now than we were last year, still has this, well, let's prove it. Let's show me that there really is a problem before we start putting a risk premium back into the marketplace.
What you hear, Frayne, is the condition one that can be improved?
Well, it is possible, and it depends upon what region of the U.S. you're talking about. When you get into the northern plains, especially into South Dakota, they've had some severe problems with germination. So actually some of the crop that got seeded is not sprouted yet. And so, my expectation is some of those acres get ripped up and put into other crops. But the key time period now, in my view, for the winter wheat crop is going to be as we break dormancy, which is starting to happen now in southern Kansas and parts of Oklahoma. What kind of rain showers, precip are we going to have? Is the crop going to be able to recover and start stooling out so we have the better yield potential? So we're getting into some pretty critical time periods for the winter wheat crop.
In the export market, how competitive right now is the U.S.?
Yeah, part of the problem the wheat market's had the last several months is it's had this split personality or dual personality. It doesn't really know what it should do. We need to keep wheat prices high enough domestically to try and keep the wheat out of the feed channels. And of course, corn prices have been pushing wheat around for a while, in particular on the upside. But in the same time, we've been then priced out of the world market. So domestically, we need to keep the milling wheat out of the feed channels, but internationally, we're priced uncompetitively. As wheat prices have softened, as corn prices have softened a bit now, and some of our export competitors are leaving the export market, some of that business is returning to the U.S. We're now very competitively priced, and we've been seeing export sales start to slowly pick up. But the problem has been the export sales, some of the international customers have not returned very quickly.
What's the international production like? If you look at what came out of Australia, you go into the Black Sea region, what are those numbers like?
Well, obviously the Black Sea region had some problems last year, not only Ukraine, but Russia and Kazakhstan. And again, to recognize that in a good year, Russia can produce as much wheat as the United States, Russia alone. And then you add its neighbors, Black Sea neighbors, there's a large pool of wheat there that the world market can tap into. So the fact they had some problems last year has helped us a bit. We're getting some reports now out of Australia. Their yields are down a bit from last year, but again, recognize last year was a very good year for them. So if you look, they're about a 10-year average. There are regions now that have some production issues. We had some rain late in the season just before harvest, so there's some quality concerns in part of their winter wheat region. But that is, in particular for the spring wheat region, which is where I'm at, that Australian crop does have a pretty impact on our export pace.
Domestically, Frayne, do you think when you look at the year-end contracts going out to December, is $9 a possibility?
I do think it's a possibility, but we're going to have a couple events. We're going to have some confirmed problems in the winter wheat belt in the U.S., and we're also going to have some confirmed problems in the Black Sea region. And there are parts, the core producing region in Russia for their winter wheat crop is having some similar problems to what we're seeing here in the U.S. So again, as we move into this March, April time period, we start to get a better read on what the crop conditions are as we break dormancy, how much winter kill there has been. I think that will set the stage for potentially higher prices as we move into the summer months.
News came out this week, Frayne, that the Kansas City Board of Trade would end trading on hard red winter wheat June 28th. What effect does that have? What impact?
Well, it's going to have more of an emotional impact than necessarily a functional impact. The Kansas City Board of Trade has been in existence for 100 and some plus years. And what the CME group, after they bought out this Kansas City Board of Trade, has now decided to close open cry or the pit trading, and that'll happen sometime in June. They will have a pit trade open outcry move to Chicago, but the pit in Kansas City will be shut down. Now you got to recognize when we started moving to electronic trading, whereas computer trading rather than open outcry trading, a lot of the volume then shifted to the electronic market. So at the end of the day, I really don't see much change in liquidity. I don't see much difference in trading volumes. It's just we're moving to an electronic format now.